Back Row Ministry, the world premiere, Mr. Mahdi coming back at you live and direct from the Kia K5 studios. So I got a picture on the screen, and I think everybody can read what the picture says. But it's a picture of President Masad Pezeshkian of Iran. And I show you this picture for a reason. If those remember a while ago, I think during the time of Bush, Bush was going back and forth with the president of Iran, not the Ayatollah of Iran. So let's make some corrections and let me just break down real quick the fallacies that's out there. Fallacy number one: Iran already has a nuclear weapon. They've been creating a nuclear weapon for over 40, 50 years. They already got something over there. We don't know what it is. I hope we don't find out what it is. That's my prayer. But they already got something over there. As I said before, some of the best nuclear physicists were over there in Iran. That had been kind of discussed years ago when we had got some spies into their network back then. But we know they got something. We don't know what it is. But here's the myth that's been going out there. And if you watch from Fox to CNN to MSNBC, you keep seeing the same thing where everything is about the Ayatollah, and we know the Ayatollah's over in Iran, and the Ayatollah and Trump talking about, well, we could have killed the Ayatollah and Ayatollah and Ayatollah, and what are they talking about? Now, for those who know history, and we talked about the Iranians were once the Persians. So we're talking about the Persian dynasty. The Persian dynasty. So this is a civilization that has been around for centuries, longer than the Iraqis. So when we talk about the Persian dynasty, over the years, the dynamics of the dynasty have changed. And when they went more into the religious side, they created this thing called the Ayatollah. That was down the road when they created the Ayatollah. But the Ayatollah is the religious leader of Iran. He's like the Pope. And you know what happens when the Pope dies? They get another Pope. So they've had several Ayatollahs. If you do your research, they've had quite a few Ayatollahs since I was a kid. Remember when the Iran hostage situation, they had a different Ayatollah back then. So they've had various Ayatollahs. And they have presidents. They have a constitution. They have people orchestrating things when it comes to the military. If you kill one set of military leaders, they got another set of military leaders. So what the media is trying to portray is that this is an Iraq situation or a Libya situation where it's a dictatorship. No, it's not. They vote for a president. So the gentleman I have on screen is the current president of Iran. Just like Trump is the current president of America, he sits down with the military advisor. Now the Ayatollah is the spiritual guidance for this individual, but at the same time, he has the ability to kind of call some shots. So the Ayatollah is not the one dictating to them what to do. So that's the lie. So what they got you thinking is, where if we kill the Ayatollah, then that'll end everything. And that's kind of what the statement that Trump tried to make. Well, I could kill the Ayatollah at any time. Who cares? So what? Okay, if you kill the Ayatollah, what does that got to do with the president of Iran is still there governing Iran? So they're not saying anything about the president of Iran. You've heard no conversations. You've seen no talks with this person. They haven't even brought the person up. Why? Because they want you to believe that the Ayatollah is the dictator of Iran when Iran has a constitution. And Iran, if you see what it says, they elected. What does it say? They elected this president in 2024. You've heard nothing about this. They got you thinking that the Ayatollah is the supreme leader of Iran. It's a lie. Here's the reality. Netanyahu is the devil. Netanyahu has doomed Israel. Trump is not on Israel's side. Remember, go back to my earlier video. Can MAGA trust, can Israel trust MAGA? No. Trump has already got his way out. He'll use the American government, politicians, his statements on not bringing us into a war, and the American government basically saying they're not going to join the war, meaning no boots on ground. No boots on ground. Remember now, the Iranians are in bed with the Russians and the Chinese. That's their alliance right there. So Trump already has his Trump card, his way out of this situation where he can still say, well, see, I was backing y'all, but the American government, and, he'll throw the Democrats in the mix because several of them, to save face aren't going to vote. And you have some Republicans who will kind of sway the vote. So America won't join the war. He can blame them from not joining the war. And then he can blame them, the Democrats, for the destruction of Israel. When the whole plan was, as we said, the Holy Church, the Christian church, wanted Jerusalem, and they didn't have a way to get it. And they've been trying to plot a way to get it for centuries. So they created the ultimate pathway, the Jewish state. They created the Jewish state. And the Israelis fell for it. They let outsiders come into Jerusalem, create a government system there, create a political system there that was corruptible. Remember, Zionism is not Judaism. It's two different things. Zionists don't give a fuck about no goddamn Jews. They never did. They never did. So they created this state as a way of down the road manipulating. You think Netanyahu cares if the church takes over Jerusalem? As I said, these have been a conquered people for centuries. This is the first time they actually had some political power. It wasn't built to last long. It was just built as a window for the Zionists to totally take over Jerusalem and make it what they want, their own paradise. It'll be a religious paradise where Muslims and Christians and Jews can come and people can vacation and they can see, the built up part of Gaza when they rebuild Gaza, and then they'll bring those folks back in to work that area. That's the plan. But it's a way for the church to get get back in there and finally win those crusades. And if you can't beat them, join them. They made a deal with Saudi. They made a deal with Qatar. They'll make a deal with Iran. Iran don't give a damn about that area. Iran just wants to be the managers of the oil pipelines in that area. They can care less what happens in Israel. They can care less. They just don't like the idea of the Israeli state. So they'll give the Iranians what they want, a chance to obliterate it, and then the church will come in and make a deal with them too. And there you go. There you go. It's all a game. And when you saw the trumpet come into power, you already knew where this was headed. So, yes, we have to go to this period of war to get to that point of those people standing up. And it's going to be a process getting to that point where the sleepers begin to awaken. And you're starting to see it. Here in America, the sleepers are starting to awake. They're starting to see things for what they are. And our job is to wake you up. The media's job is not to tell you the truth. The media's job is to keep you asleep. The media's job is to lie. The media's job is to deflect you from doing something very simple. They've given you all the information via the internet. There are books out there. But they give you all the information. Then they lie to your face because they know you're more prone to trust them than to trust yourself and to trust your own research. That's why they hate social media, because social media is now intelligent people that's in these environments saying, nah, that ain't the truth. This is what's going on over here. This is what happened. Think about the media. Right now, they're talking about how great Israel is doing in the war. Every other, you got to go to 3-4 sources to see what's what. If you go to MSNBC, you see they're not doing that well. because it's not the headline of MSNBC. They got that story way down in the bottom. And remember now, Netanyahu, he ain't there, he in Greece, hiding out. As I said, the minute shit hit the fan, he was going to take off and leave those people stranded. He was going to leave those people stranded. And he keeps pumping up the overconfidence right now. Oh, yeah, we got him. And yeah, America. And when America doesn't come to the rescue, then they're going to be looking like, huh? Not thinking, shit, we've been played. What you have. What you have. You trusted the devil. I always say, never underestimate the devil. You don't know what you're going to get out of the deal, but y'all trusted the devil. And that devil is there to destroy the Israeli state. He doesn't care because the Israeli state was something that was temporary. These people had their own plan for the third temple, and it's going to be built right there in the New Jerusalem, which is going to be Israel, which is Jerusalem anyway. That's why they put the consulate there. Remember, all these moves were made by Trump earlier. So when they go in and plant the American flag in Jerusalem, they're going to tell you we've taken over. Y'all can't sustain yourself. Iran don't want to go back toward America, so America will plant their flag in Jerusalem, meaning they'll take ownership of the place. And once again, Israel will be a conquered people. That's how it goes. So I got to be very mindful of the people who plant themselves in front of you, the lies you hear in the media, things that you know that are not truth. There was a gentleman 6 months ago that stated the Iranians have a stockpile of missiles. They can fire missiles for the next 20 years. Russia been giving them weapons for years. Remember during the Iran-Iraq crisis, when we were giving weapons to Iraq, the Russians was giving weapons to the Iranians. They got a stockpile. They can fire that shit all day. They can fire missiles all damn day. Now, do they got something else? That's the question. That's the question that we can't answer. As I said, we had a lot of earthquakes over there in Russia. So we know they were testing in Iran. I apologize, because we know they were testing something. If you go back and look at Iranian earthquakes, you'll see several that had happened in the past 20 years. So there's something they're doing over there. We don't know what it is. They're already hinting that we got something. So I hope they don't drop a nuke. The last country to use a nuclear weapon, of course, is the American government. We have the only country to ever utilize a nuclear weapon on anybody. That's why we are so afraid of nukes, because we know that the chickens have to come home to roost soon. We got to pay for that, dropping that nuke on somebody. One of our cities is going to have to pay for that. Part of this country is going to have to pay for that. So definitely keep your eye on this, but read between the lines. Do your own research with these people. The Ayatollah is just like the Pope. If the Ayatollah dies, that's not going to end the Iranian government. This is the Persian Empire. They've been around for centuries, for years, for a reason. They've evolved. They have a president. They have a military. They have a war council. They have ambassadors. They have all that stuff. There is no supreme leader, and that's what the lie they're trying to say, that the Ayatollah is the supreme leader. The only thing the Ayatollah is doing is talking shit. That's it. Outside of that, the president is calling the shots in how this thing is going to go. He has additional military leadership. So we knocked out all the military leaders. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Because if one man go down, the next man got to step up. That's the way it goes. So with Israel and the media, it's lie after lie after lie, because they want this to be a dictatorship, and you have to see it like a dictatorship for this to work. But it's not a dictatorship. It's a government. It's not Iraq, where you kill Saddam Hussein and then it's over. Remember, the Iraqis fought for years with American assistance, and they couldn't beat the Iranians. They dropped everything on them. They dropped chemical weapons on them. Couldn't beat them. And remember now, the Iranians don't have air power. The Iraqis have air power. They don't use no air power. They got enough air defenses to keep you off of them. And we see that. What's the new lie they're telling? Well, we got air superiority over Iran. from a military standpoint, if you had air superiority, the war should be over by now. You could drop one or two good bombs. You could blow the whole city to shreds. If you get all this air superiority over the city, they ain't got no air superiority over them. It'll be over by now. So that's a lie. They don't want to do boots on ground because they know going toe to toe is a problem. So the Israelis are afraid. They're using all the media hype they can get to drum up, hey, we're winning, when they're not doing anything. They're not really having an impact. They've been hit in certain areas that they didn't know they could get hit in. They don't know about their infiltration, just like they've infiltrated Iran. They don't know who's infiltrated them. So they can go back and forth with them for months. But the Israelis can't continue to go back and forth. Remember now, we fund their military. We give them the weapons. You got to be able to sustain it. And without our support and the thumbs up from the American government, there's not going to be us joining any war. Because if we join that war, it's World War III. Remember, once we move, the Russians will move. The Chinese are laying back, but we don't know if they're going to move or just keep funneling weapons. We don't know what they're going to do. So, sticky time as we move through this part of World War III. And we continue to watch Israel. Continue to watch Israel. And we cry for the people of Israel. Because this is not their doing. But you follow the wrong person, you get yourself in trouble. If you're really God's people, then you need to walk that way. You need to live that way. And you haven't been living that way. You haven't been living that way. You can't say that people did me wrong, so I'm going to go do other people wrong. You can't do that. And God will make you pay a penance. You got to watch the things that you say when it comes to the Creator. Because the Creator is going to make you pay a penance for everything that you say. Everything that you do. There's going to be a price. And you don't pay it, your children pay it. That becomes the problem with these things. Now your children is caught up in a conflict by some crazy man who is in Greece right now while your children are getting bombed. Think about this. This dude is in Greece while your children in Israel are getting bombed. He's in Greece. But he loves you. He cares about you. He's in Greece. Your children are in a bomb shelter. He's looking at the water. But he loves you. He loves Israel. But he don't love you enough to be there while you're getting bombed or be there in the shit with you. Think about that. Think about the people that you follow. These are the people that people follow. They say keep your friends close, your enemies even closer. Watch the company that you keep. And a lot of people just don't watch the company that they keep. They buy into it. We're superior. Okay. There's no such thing as a superior man or woman. No such thing as a superior human being. No such thing. You're facing dynasties. This is not regular stuff. This is not things that's been around for 2 days. There's a reason why these dynasties have been in play for so long. It's a reason. And we got to understand that moving forward. So, closing out this video, I know I've rambled for a while. Remember, the Ayatollah is like the Pope. If the Pope dies, they get another Pope. Same with the Ayatollah. If the Ayatollah dies, there'll be another Ayatollah down the road. Right now, if the Ayatollah dies, they got a president, they got a government. They'll just keep on rocking and rolling and keep the war going. Now, the president can decide if the Ayatollah dies that he doesn't want war. And he might make some form of agreement. But if the Israelis ain't down for the agreement, then they're going to continue the war. That's just what it is. Because you're fighting a government. You're not fighting a terrorist group or the other shit they make up. This is you fighting an actual country with power. And they need us to be able to do this. And they're not going to get the support because it never was intended to be given. It's all the rules right now. It's all the rules. Back Row Ministry, Mr. Mahdi, peace and hair grease.